Okay, guys, welcome to Sports Matters TV and episode number 2 of WrestleSlam, the show, aka the podcast. A big thanks to everyone that tuned into episode 1. It went out live, well, not live, I suppose. It kind of it aired and it premiered to the delight of wrestling fans all over Ireland and across the world. Thankfully, we've had over 3,000 views without any promotion, so that's great news. Sometimes you have to pay Facebook to promote something, but we've done it the natural way. It all went well. I'm joined by Jonathan, Phil, and Matt, the usual team. As always, it's been a crazy few days, especially the last 24 hours. Trending at the moment, speaking out. Unfortunately, we're not going to touch base. Obviously, there's a lot of details that we don't know about, but we're just sending love to all the victims out there at the moment. Hope you're all well, and just stay safe. On the show, we're going to talk about Backlash, NXT In Your House, and there's lots more to talk about. Lads, how are you keeping? How's things?
All good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
We're slowly getting there out of everything, so all good.
Good man. Now, lads, we have to start off the show. The greatest ever match, Edge, Randy Orton. I'm going to go to Phil first. Phil, tell us what you thought of that match in general and the whole hype afterwards and stuff.
The build-up was a bit ridiculous because the pressure was on the lads before it even started. But I actually expected it to be an hour, and it ended up being 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a really, really good match and the best match the lads could have had.
Yeah.
And I don't think they could have got better, to be honest with you.
Definitely. Jonathan, what do you reckon, my man? Did you enjoy that match?
Oh man, enjoyed it is an understatement. Absolutely it just represents everything that a lot of today's wrestling is missing. You know, they took the time to develop the story of the match from the beginning. You know, it slowly, you know, they told the story of Edge being out for such a period of time and possibly being that step behind Orton. So, you know, you had Orton kind of getting these little moments ahead of Edge, and Edge making these slight mistakes in the beginning, but then Edge kind of makes the comeback and he starts getting more and more sharp, and just the facial expressions and everything. It was just a masterclass in storytelling, from the pacing of the match to the emotion that they conveyed with the facial expressions and everything. I think as far as an wrestler's individual performance goes, I haven't seen many better than Orton's in that match. All around, he was just on a whole different level. And so was Edge. I mean, Jesus, it's only his second match back. Like, you know, it's absolutely crazy. But I think for the pressure they were given by that tagline, you know, the greatest wrestling match ever, it was, it's hard to get better than what they did, you know. So my hat's off to them. I absolutely loved it. Match of the year so far for me.
Completely agree. And Matt, what was your take for this one, Matt? Obviously a great match.
Yeah, it was absolutely a fantastic match. Now, it was hard to get behind it, you know, with the hype of everyone just calling it the greatest wrestling match ever. Whenever anyone just like mentions it, it's like it sounds a bit silly, just like putting pressure on it. Because the best wrestling matches are the unexpected hypes of certain wrestling matches. But yeah, Edge versus Orton was absolutely a fantastic match. To me, I wouldn't say it's the best, greatest wrestling match ever, but it is the best wrestling match of this year that WWE did brought. Because I do feel like Edge and Orton knows each other so well. Because we obviously know this isn't their first dance with each other. So they both gave each other the best of each other from right from the very beginning, especially when they kick out of their own signatures and their own finishers. When that happens, you know you're going to be in for probably best than what you expect. But that's my personal thoughts. It's currently my favorite Edge match, my favorite Orton match. For so long, it was Edge and Christian versus the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys in WrestleMania 17. But now it's gotten, as my favorite Edge match, but now it's gotten some competition. So I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So there's the hype.
Can I just add one thing about Randy Orton?
Yeah.
I think a motivated Randy Orton is like the best in the business. He has to be
one of the
but he has to be motivated, because when he's motivated, it's going better.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. He's definitely one of the greatest heels ever in that company. He's never, even when he's a good guy, he still has that bit of badness in him. But I definitely put Randy Orton down. He was never really in my top 5, but I think he's definitely in that direction. I think when it's all said and done, I think Randy Orton will 100% be in my top 5 of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, could easily happen. No, I would.
And I think, like, the whole thing about him being motivated and everything, I think sometimes he gets a bad rap in that regard. He knows when to turn it on and when to not lay off, but just kind of take a step back for longevity's sake. And plus, look, he's approaching 20 years in the company, and look how fresh he still is. Yeah. Even physically. I mean, he could easily go another 10 years, and that's because of the style he's wrestled. Yeah. The pacing of his matches. He doesn't go, balls to the wall from the very beginning of the match, He doesn't all pile a massive bump. So he's a very savvy performer. I don't buy the whole thing about him being lazy or anything like that. He just knows when to pick his spots, Yeah.
What you reckon, man?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Randy Orton, and to me, he's probably one of the best heels we have right now. But yeah, I kind of agree with Jonathan. Like, he always knows how to pick a good spot. I always got the vibe that Randy's like one of these professional wrestlers that he would wrestle with someone who doesn't even know what they're doing in the ring, and he somehow would make it look good. Yeah. Maybe like giving them good spots, maybe making him look more better by picking his own spots. And I just feel like that every time he gets in the ring, slowly but surely, he's getting better and better and better. And like what Jonathan said, he can go another 10 years or so. Like, even if you look back when he first debuted against Hardcore Harley, he knows his own spots, he knows his own moveset, but slowly, when the years caught up, he gotten more better. So definitely more time, the best he got. So I like to see Randy Orton more. We've already seen him more, but probably more matches where he can really push to his own limits within, like what Jonathan said, the 10 years he can go on for.
Yeah, no, you did mention you mentioned Christian, so I'm gonna get to Christian at the end of the show. But lads, Backlash in general, I thought it was a fantastic pay-per-view. Phil, what did you think of Backlash in general? Did you like the Drew McIntyre and Big Bobby Lashley match as well?
I did actually. Do you know what? I was actually very surprised by that match. I didn't think it was going to be as kind of physical as it was, because I thought that, like, I don't know, I just thought it was going to be a slugfest for some reason.
Yeah. I
liked the way it started with Bobby kind of assaulting McIntyre and making it kind of, there was a whole story to it after that.
Yeah.
But the match was good, and then the Street Profit stuff was random, to say the least. I don't even know what to say about those ninja stuff.
It's trending.
Like, the whole thing,
people talking.
I know, but the whole thing was like wall after wall of like randomness.
Yeah.
And then the end part with the snake was like, what was that?
It was mad. Jonathan, what do you think of Backlash?
Overall, I enjoyed it. I really liked Lashley and McIntyre as well. I was a little disappointed that Lashley didn't get the title, but it's probably the right decision to keep it on Drew for now. He's on a really, he's on another level. And I think Lashley, he's finding himself now, but he's not quite there yet. There's still something missing, I think. He's almost there, but there's just that little bit of timidness I still find in him. He still really has to kind of engage that intensity, kind of Sheamus-like, or like me and Phil were talking about it the other night, kind of like Sid. If he knew how to actually work to his size and his look and be a bit meaner, but there was a lot of glimpses of that in that match that I liked, especially like Phil was saying, the part at the start where he attacks him before the bell, and he did a good job of it. Like, he was really intense, and I really liked the start of the match. Overall, I thought that was really good. What other matches was there? Because I don't know, the Edge and Orton one just kind of, I've forgotten everything else other than those two.
Sheamus and Jeff Hardy obviously fought. Obviously,
Yes.
Braun defeated The Miz and John Morrison. Bayley and Sasha Banks defeated Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, and the Iconics. Apollo Crews was actually decent. He defeated Andrade.
I actually enjoyed the Braun Strowman, Miz and Morrison one a lot more than I thought it would. That storyline, I think, was actually better than what I thought it would be initially as well when they made the handicap match. But I thought they told a good story in that, how they were trying to, chop the big man down. I thought that was executed well enough, and how they were starting to kind of turn on each other, realizing that the other one would be champion if they pinned him and that type of thing. So I thought it was actually well pulled off. It wasn't a classic by any means, but it was a well executed match.
Definitely. And Matt, what do you reckon as well, my man? Do you reckon Backlash was a near 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10. I wouldn't say ranking-wise, but I can break down each match and maybe try and build up in 10 by 10. But first of all, the Street Profits versus Viking Raiders. I don't know. Let's move on. So,
I love it.
Yeah, honest review. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. I was happy to see Sheamus winning a pay-per-view match, because we talked about in the last podcast we're happy to see Michael on WWE. Even with the story with Jeff Hardy, alcohol pass, we don't know about the story itself, but it was great to see Sheamus getting a match with someone like Jeff Hardy, winning the match, making him look strong, and also remembering who he is. Bayley and Sasha Banks versus the Iconics versus Alexa and Nikki Cross. I like to see Sasha Banks and Bayley keeping the titles long, at least till WrestleMania, along with Bayley becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion, to slowly build up a feud for the two of them, for Sasha Banks versus Bayley. I think that'll be an interesting one. We saw them compete each other so many times in NXT, but they know how to make a good match because they know each other so well. Similar to Edge and Randy Orton. And Braun Strowman versus The Miz The Miz and John Morrison. I was trying to really focus in the match because, sorry, Jonathan, but it was kind of like my least favorite match I was looking forward to of Backlash. But I watched this and I thought, okay, it's pretty decent. I mean, Miz and Morrison knows they're a good tag team, and we all know it's this great. And as for Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, I didn't really enjoy how it ended with Lana interfering. I mean, I was going into this match not pulling for both of them. I was saying, I know Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, they'll make a good match. Whoever wins, wins. But yeah, I prefer if maybe Drew McIntyre would have gotten a clean win, or MVP would have interfered. And afterwards, we're going to have Bobby Lashley and Lana in the background, backstage after the match. But that's what ruined it for me, the interference with Lana. But besides that, it was a good match in all. So I'm going to have to give it a 7.9 out of 10.
Not bad. Not bad. Let's switch into NXT TakeOver In Your House. I loved everything about this pay-per-view. From start to finish, it wasn't too long. Obviously, the matches were nice and short. I think the longest match was 20 minutes. It was actually Keith Lee and Johnny Gargano. But lads, first of all, Phil, what did you think of NXT TakeOver In Your House? Obviously, Adam Cole defeated Velvet Till Dream. We've seen some, title change hands. Obviously, Finn Balor defeated Damian Priest. What do you reckon, Phil?
I actually think the Finn Balor match was the best match on the show.
Yeah. It
told such a good story. I think Damian Priest is probably going to be a big star.
Yeah, definitely.
Triple H afterwards. Triple H was asked afterwards, is this the turning point for Damian Priest? And Triple H said, no, you're going to see the real Damian Priest, So clearly, he had a star-studded match with Finn.
I love seeing the old house. It was superb seeing that. The minute I saw it, I was like, somebody's coming off the top of that house. I actually thought Charlotte was going to moonsault off it.
Yeah, I did actually as well. Jonathan, what do you reckon yourself? Did you enjoy it?
I haven't watched it yet. I was meaning to watch it last night ahead of this, and I just ended up watching a lot of Undertaker interviews on YouTube, and then I fell asleep on my couch. So sorry about that.
From the feedback, do you think it's going to be when you watch it, do you reckon it's going to be good?
Yeah, from the feedback I've gotten, I've heard nothing but good things, and I love the fact that they brought the In Your House theme back.
Yeah,
because I love that. I love the old school feel. One thing that I did see that I loved was the promo with Todd Pettingill.
Unreal.
I thought that was really
awesome. Superb. Can I just say one thing about it?
Yeah.
The Adam Cole match was actually the worst match on it. The backup. It was just too chaotic.
Yeah.
Who was he against?
Velveteen Dream.
Velveteen Dream.
Oh, okay.
But it was like do you remember that Iron Circle thing they done in the 90s?
Yeah.
It was similar to that, but outside.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mad one. Matt, what do you reckon? Did you enjoy NXT TakeOver In Your House?
I absolutely love the pay-per-view, mainly because you just get the Attitude Era vibe off it, like doing the old layouts and everything like that, the cheesiness, like it was back in the Attitude Era days of the In Your House pay-per-views. I quite enjoyed the Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream match. Now, I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to, huge hardcore all weapons matches, but I thought it was pretty decent. I won't break it down, but I kind of did like the whole badass like concept, like similar to the Eddie Guerrero versus John Cena parking lot brawl and the Attitude, the Ruthless Aggression era at times.
Yeah.
My favorite match has to be Johnny Gargano versus Keith Lee, because I just like the whole entire heel persona that Johnny Gargano has about him being just like kind of like shoving himself to everyone's face in like every week, and seeing him kind of getting his comeuppance by Keith Lee, who's a brilliant face in my ad. I thought that was my favorite match, but I didn't like the ending for Io Shirai versus Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. Granted, I'm happy Io Shirai won the NXT Women's Champion. She deserves it. But it's just the way it ended, like, Charlotte Flair putting Rhea Ripley into figure four, and then Io Shirai did a finisher on either Charlotte Flair or Rhea Ripley, I can't remember, and got the pin. I just thought, really? I felt like Charlotte's reign as NXT Women's Champion kind of got wasted somewhere. But I feel like I'm being negative right now. But anyway, that's the one thing that just ruined this, was just the end, how she won the Women's Championship. The match in general was great, but just the ending, I thought. But again, I'm an Io Shirai fan, but that's just...
We have to respect it. No, let's
speaking of Charlotte there, what do you think they should do with Charlotte? Because she can't really go in another title reign, surely. Like, I was thinking maybe tag title reign, because she hasn't done that yet.
Yeah, well, she's definitely going to be the greatest.
She's unbelievable.
The greatest female.
Yeah, she's the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There's nobody.
She's better than most in even I think.
Like, I think she could fight Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I'm not joking.
Okay, that I don't want to see.
I like Charlotte because she is one of the best we have in the women's division now. And also, I'm kind of just happy she used to be known as Ric Flair's daughter, and now she's finally made it her own. So that's what only very few generation wrestlers do these days. So she made her own, which is very good for her.
Yeah, definitely. We have to mention Christian. Obviously, Christian came back. We know Paula Heyman's no longer involved. Obviously, Bruce is back. There's a lot of chopping and changing. Things are trending. I must say, it was actually good to see Christian back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's been 6 years since his last match.
Yeah, and I didn't expect it. Is he going to get a big push, I wonder?
Yeah, is it lead to an actual match, or was it a one-off kind of deal?
No, I think he's going to fight Randy Orton.
Yeah.
You think?
I would like to have him sticking around, having a good rivalry, not just with Randy Orton, but anyone else, because I feel like Christian just still needs that boost, even when he was wrestling. because I just don't like it how he's known as Edge's friend instead of who he is. That's always just bothered me, though, about that.
Yeah.
I think Orton is definitely the best guy to put him with as well, because Orton gave him the best matches of his career. I mean, the feud that they had in, was it 2011? I think it was.
Yeah.
Those matches were absolutely phenomenal. Every one of them that they had on pay-per-view and the one on SmackDown that they had were lost the title.
Didn't they have like 6 pay-per-view matches or something?
Yeah.
They had the one on SmackDown. Yeah, about 5 or 6, I think. They had SmackDown, they had Capital Punishment, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, and Over the Limit, I think. I'm not sure if they had another.
Yeah.
I remember that feud was really, really good.
Oh, it was excellent.
I remember I enjoyed the feud, but part of me was thinking, okay, we get it. They put on good matches. How many more Randy Orton versus Christian matches we're going to get? So I'm very happy they're kind of bringing it back on Raw as well. So
yeah. And speaking of Raw, obviously Phil brought it up earlier on. There's a bit of chopping and changing yet again with the roster. I think it's official that Dolph is going to Raw now.
Yeah, Dolph Ziggler is going to Raw as part of the AJ trade.
Yeah.
And so is Ali.
So interesting.
So Dolph will be doing jobs on Raw now instead of SmackDown.
Yeah, pretty much. I wonder now, will the hacker storyline be dropped?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I said this in the last podcast. I don't watch Raw and SmackDown full shows. I kind of rely on highlights these days now, which is kind of bad for me to say.
We're all busy, man. It's okay. We're all busy. I know the way it is. Trust me.
Yeah.
The highlights are good.
Yeah.
Every time when I watch Raw, if I miss one episode of Raw, I feel like I miss on this huge thing. Like, I was like, Eddie Murphy is with Seth Rollins now. What's going on? Do I need to catch up? So, but yeah, the Hackett storyline is new to me, but that's for another day, I guess.
Definitely. And we obviously, I don't think we mentioned it last time, lads, but obviously Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles had an incredible match. What do you think of that, lads? Like, obviously, it's probably going to go down as probably match of the year up there. It's definitely up there with Edge and Randy Orton, if not better. Like, but what do you reckon, lads?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. It's not as better as Randy Orton vs Edge, which is upsetting because Daniel Bryan and AJ is my favorite wrestlers at the moment. But it was good. They put on a pretty fantastic match, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing that was missing that Edge and Orton had over it was the personal issue.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
like Edge and Orton had that going into the match, and there was a clear babyface heel dynamic for them to work through the whole match. That was the one, like, because Bryan and AJ, that was another match now where the pacing was fantastic and the counters, and it felt like a legitimate contest, you know, like both really trying to win rather than, you know, just a freaking ballet routine, you know, going from move to move for, you know, just for all shock value, like, you know. So I absolutely loved that match as well. Thought it was
my only gripe about the match is the ad breaks.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well,
because there was such a long match, there was a lot of them. No, it's just because there was such a long match, there was like 6 ad breaks.
Yeah, for sure.
Ads pay the bills, though, as they say. So sure, they're happy now. As we have to quickly switch, we have 2 topics. Obviously, we're going to talk about Lex Luger at the end. But obviously, All Elite Wrestling still, you know, doing extremely well in the ratings. Phil, I know you're a big All Elite Wrestling fan. You're fully up to date with all that kind of stuff. How is it looking at the moment? Obviously, Jericho still the man.
Yeah, Jericho is feuding with Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, which is interesting. Which is cool.
Which is kind of, yeah, they're fighting at Fire Fest, which is happening in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we have John. We had the debut of Brian Cage, which I know, John, you're a fan of Brian.
Yeah, I like Bryan. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
no, I actually didn't know that he was actually going in there. I'm kind of out of the loop when it comes to AEW.
So he's actually feuding with John Moxley for the world belt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be decent.
I know you're a big fan of AEW, Matt.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen Past Dynamite and All In, and you know, I'm really looking forward to see John Moxley versus Brian Cage. never. I'm gonna feel bad by saying this. I never heard of Brian Cage before AEW. Oddly enough, but the way how I'm seeing how he's handling with promos with Taz, he seems like he's gonna be a big deal soon. But when we talk about AEW, they've always been at this limit, but they're at this limit where if you're just a WWE fan or if you're not really an AEW fan, watch at least one episode of Dynamite to know what wrestling is like. So, yeah.
I think Fire Fest is going to be pretty good. I don't think we're going to see FTR versus the Young Bucks until All In.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I
think we might actually see an 8-man tag. I think we might see an 8-man tag at that show, Fire Fest.
Yeah, I personally think AEW probably has the best tag team roster. Then
yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Hopefully they use it. Hopefully they use it right. Lads, just before we go, we have to speak about one of the most incredible athletes ever in wrestling when it goes back to NWA, WWF, WCW. I hope one day he's going to be a Hall of Famer, Mr. Lex Luger. I always remember the rebirth of the Total Package when Miss Elizabeth walked to the ring in WCW and we seen the whole lights out and he does that whole flex thing. But obviously, Lex Luger deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, lads. I even had to think about it the other day. I was like, is he in the Hall of Fame? And I was there saying to myself, I don't think he is. But it's mad how he's not in the Hall of Fame. But obviously, I know Jonathan's a huge fan of Lex. Tell us, obviously, your greatest memory of Lex Luger.
My favorite memory of him is my very first one, and it's probably either my first or second earliest memory of wrestling period is when he slammed Yokozuna on the USS Intrepid, the lead up to SummerSlam '93. Can you remember it?
Yeah.
Huh?
He came out of a helicopter and walked through the crowd.
Yeah, that was him turning face and leading up to the Lex Express tour, and I just remember watching it so vividly. And I was a bit upset about it at the time because I was hoping Undertaker would be the one to slam Yokozuna because he was my childhood favorite. It was such a well pulled off angle and really, really cool. Some of the other ones, like there's a lot of things that I remember about Lex. I wasn't a big fan of him actually as a kid. I kind of became more of a fan of him later on.
Yeah.
And like he's a big inspirational figure to me personally in like how he deals with his physical ailment and things like that. Like he's an amazing guy. But him slamming Yokozuna and there was another one. I actually liked the tag team with him and British Bulldog as well. I actually thought that had a lot of legs to it. That it's a pity that didn't go further. I thought they were good. But him and Hogan in WCW as well, when he beat Hogan for the title, I'd recommend going back watching that as well because the pop at the end is just amazing. People were so hungry for Hogan to lose the title. And Lex took it. He was really over in WCW.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Going back what do you think, Phil?
I was actually watching the old Nitros, 97. So I actually think Lex should have had a 6-month reign in 97, at least.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like there was a period there where Hogan was gone off TV because he was making stuff and he still had the belt. Like, I just made no sense. It made no sense to me. Like, Lex could have had the belt for 7 months there. You know what I mean? But instead, he got like a 6-day reign or something.
Yeah, he lost it at the pay-per-view the following Sunday. Back to
my first memory of Lex is Narcissus, actually.
Yeah?
Like, when he did the mirrors with Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
I actually think it was Royal Rumble 93 was the actual debut.
Yeah, that was the unveiling,
Yeah, I thought that was... As a kid, I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought he was different.
Definitely. And Matt, what you reckon? Obviously, I know, Matt, you're the baby of the group, but any small memories of Lex Luger from back in the day?
I'm pushing on 26, and I think I'm old enough, I know. But anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't be invested as like Luger as like you guys, but I think one moment will stand out is Jerry. You mentioned it was when he came out with Miss Elizabeth as the Total Package, because I remember seeing how the build up and the promos and the vignettes and the way he debuted show who he is, and I thought that was actually pretty amazing.
That promo was so funny though. It was like Lex Luger was a great man, but now it's time for the total package. I always remember the team. Always remember that entrance team was like ding ding, and like do 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 do.
Yeah, that was really
incredible.
That whole kind of bodybuilder type entrance then as well. It was really good stuff.
It was,
how many times did he turn heel and face in WCW?
Probably 100 times.
Fair bit. He hasn't topped Big Show though.
Did January 4th, 99 once the worst?
Yeah.
With the finger poke.
I remember.
I feel so
yeah, he joined the NWO.
Yeah. So just before we go, right, can I just ask you what your favourite match is, if you can? I know it's on the spot, like.
In general, is it?
Yeah, in general, yeah.
I have to say, for me, it's definitely Bret Hart and the British Bulldog, SummerSlam, UK. I enjoyed it. Obviously, Owen Hart and Bret Hart as well. For atmosphere and pop, Hogan and The Rock.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
Good choice.
For me, it has to be SummerSlam, probably WrestleMania. It was Stone Cold versus Bret Hart. Probably with the infamous, the switcheroo, Bret coming in as a face and Austin comes as a heel, and then they left the opposite. I've enjoyed that so much, and about the fact that Austin didn't give up at all and the fans got behind him unexpectedly was pretty amazing. But for memory's sake, I know I'm the baby that Jerry wants to say. Probably Stone Cold versus The Rock, WrestleMania 17. Just because I grew up loving both of them and they're both my favorites. So just seeing kind of like two worlds clashing for me. And it was my first time. I'm like, oh, I know who's the heel. I know who's the face. I'm going to boo this guy. But I couldn't know which one to decide. So, but that's for my memory's sake anyway. So definitely that.
Jonathan, what about you?
Oh,
mine is without a doubt Undertaker and Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 25. It's kind of it kind of sums up what I love about wrestling and what I think the art of it is, because I was watching that night, watching it live. I was watching it with two people that don't like wrestling. And they were making fun of it throughout the show, like, why do you still watch this shite and all that kind of stuff, like, they were saying.
There's always one that was said that.
Oh, yeah, there's always one. But then that match came on, and as a couple of minutes went by, they started getting interested. And as the match went along, they got more interested, and to the point where they were like little children on the edge of their seats, like, and they were really tired then as well. And I remember one of them specifically saying, like, I'm wrecked, but God, I have to see how this ends, like. And that's the art, like, making people believe. It's not, shock and awe factor. It's getting people into the story of the match and making you believe that this is, the real deal. So that's my favorite for that reason, that it just sums up what the art of wrestling is. Definitely. I think, anyway.
Definitely. And before we go, Phil, we have to get your opinion on this, because I know you've probably witnessed about a million matches.
I think Johnny knows where I'm going. I think Eddie Brock got no way out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the emotion of it, because 2 years before it, Eddie lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch that promo before No Way Out, it's like one of the best promos I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Where he talks about like how he lost everything and he comes back.
Yeah,
but what I really loved about the match is that Eddie won by himself, not with the Goldberg spear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, just for everything that he came back from, it's just like the match. It's just unbelievable.
I just seen as well that the WWE shop announced there was a special package of Eddie Guerrero. You could buy like. It was like, I don't know how much it was, but I think there's only 750 made. It's like his special edition T-shirt. There's a figure. There's a couple of things. It's obviously a nice touch and tribute to Eddie.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's cool. It's unreal. That's 15 years.
Yeah.
Already.
It's mad.
And it just shows that Eddie will always be living on, like. So just one last thing about
there was a story there the other day about Vince McMahon thinking Garza was going to be the next Eddie.
It's quite different. I think for any wrestler in today's industry, bar maybe 2 or 3, it's very hard. Obviously, we're in different times at the moment. You know what I mean? The generation looks at things differently. Like the whole legend status. You know what I mean? You know, when we think legends, obviously we have a couple of names, lads. But I think it's very hard the way things are going forward. You know what I mean? The whole legendary category kind of, it's not the same as it used to be. Do you know what I mean? I look at wrestlers now like Randy Orton, and obviously I always considered Edge as a legend. You know what I mean? But I think it's more limited these days. I think it's just the way that things have moved on. You know what I mean? Things have changed. There's going to be less legends in the business, if you get me. Do you know where I'm coming from? I think it's one of them statuses that will be less talked about because it's just the way the world's gone.
Yeah, I think I think social media is a big thing because, like, if you go back to the 90s, we knew nothing about Austin. You know what I mean? Like, we knew nothing about what Taker was doing or whatever.
Yeah. You remember being in school, lads, right? You go into school, there was always the 2 or 3 guys. We had a dodgy black box, right? There was always 2 or 3 guys that would record something on a VHS and they'd pass it to you the next day in school. Well, you'd find out about wrestling news basically in school the next day. There was really, the internet was limited. Do you know what I mean? Well, now you're hearing about things even before they happen, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, like if something happens here, it's like that. Like,
yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
I think I remember it was like when I got into wrestling, when I can't remember how old I was, and Stone Cold just come back from, remember that storyline of when he got hit by a car?
Oh yeah,
when he came back calling out who he wanted to find out, my brother was actually interested in wrestling, and he was mocking him. He was like, Stone Cold! And I told him, who's Stone Cold? And so he showed me like videotapes of Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon about like the changes he brought. And I was like, oh, I love this guy. I really want him to come back now. So yeah, it was actually at that moment was like the importance of each of these wrestlers and the importance of wrestling. We should always remember and treasure. So
yeah, definitely. As I said, lads, it's an absolute honour as always for the viewers. It's a 40-minute special today. We like to talk, so luckily you got an extra 10 minutes. We covered Backlash, NXT TakeOver, In Your House, All Elite Wrestling. We've talked about the great Lex Luger. Obviously, touch base with Edge and Randy Orton. Christian came back. Brian Cage making his All Elite Wrestling debut, which is great news. Obviously, NXT is flying as always. A big thanks to everyone that's tuned in yet again for episode 2. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with plenty of more to talk about, lads. It's an honour as always. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Gareth.
We'll catch you all soon. Thanks very much, guys.
See you.
Hey, lads. Take care.